Welcome back, everybody. Thursday marked day 4 in Laredo, Texas, in the capital murder trial of Ronald Burgos Aviles. The former Border Patrol officer faces the death penalty in a double homicide that prosecutors allege was over child support money. Burgos Aviles was married with his own children when he had a child with 28-year-old Griselda Hernandez in an alleged affair. In March of 2018, Hernandez reportedly served the defendant child support documents at his workplace, and a month later, police say the defendant asked Hernandez to see their almost 2-year-old son, and they set up a meeting in a remote area near a park. Prosecutors believe the defendant stabbed Hernandez and that little boy to death on that visit to avoid paying child support. A majority of Thursday saw a lengthy Daubert hearing about whether one cell phone expert for the state and another for the defense would be allowed to testify in front of the jury. But let's go back to the end of Wednesday, because crucial footage of the defendant was shown in court. He was in the back of a police squad car on the day of the murders and showed some strange behavior to law enforcement while being detained. Here's the footage and what one police officer had to say on the stand.
He says, "Hey man, what's your name?" And then Burgos says, "Ronald Burgos Aviles." He only uses his last names. So then Rick's like, "What's your name, dude? Why are you not telling me your name? What's your name?" And he says, "My name's Ronald Burgos Aviles." And he says, You're not telling me your name. Do you have an ID or something?" And he's like, "No, I don't have an ID."
What is it that he's doing in that scene?
He's wiping his arms. Looks like he's cleaning something off. Or
What was it that he did right before he wiped his arms?
he licked his finger. So we parked in the Sallyport. I got off. I was a riding passenger, so I got off the vehicle and I opened the door for him. I tell him to step out. He steps out and he immediately turns around and puts his hands behind his back. And I asked him, "What are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Well, I know the drill. I know the deal." And I was like, "You're not under arrest, or you're just being detained. You just got to clear your name." That's exactly what I told him.
So was he anticipating that he was going to be arrested? I mean, Brian, do you think he was rubbing off on his arm? The prosecution can't say for sure. You think that's even useful to them at that point?
So, I won't lie, Jesse. When I first heard the rubbing of the arm, I guess my issue is that I thought this.
Yeah.
Like he was trying, like getting blood out or getting out some sort of dirt or whatever. But that seems a little innocuous. Even just like that's not enough for me. Now I know what the prosecutor's going to do. Consciousness of guilt. He's trying to get rid of some evidence. But that to me, I don't know. What is that rubbing? What would you be able to get out with that? So it's going to be up for debate. You're going to see what you want to see, and either side will be able to use that perception towards to helping their side. Yeah,
he might have licked his hand to get rid of it too. I mean, Melba, how do you think the prosecution's going to use that video and the defendant's behavior against him? Is there anything really the defense can push back on that?
I don't think that there's well, first of all, I think the defense can definitely say that, well, this is a nothing burger. Yep. You know, they weren't able to identify what it was he was rubbing. The officer didn't notice anything on him, any blood or stains or anything when he placed him in his car. So they can kind of go after the police officer's credibility that way, saying, well, if you didn't observe anything, or if you thought there was blood or something else, you would have taken a picture, you would have taken steps to preserve that evidence. So there is a path for cross-examination there. But at the same token, his behavior in terms of, yeah, just arrest me, you know, I know the drill, I know what's about to happen. Well, is that consciousness of guilt? And secondly, him rubbing so much there, we know there were multiple stab wounds on both of the victims. There is that possibility of blood splatter. So, you know, there's arguments to be made either way. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be the game changer, but if you're feeling he's guilty, you use it against him. If you feel he's innocent, you might ignore it. When we come back, multiple confessions on a recorded phone line. What new court documents reveal about the Delphi, Indiana murder suspect, and why his defense team says it's a sign of his poor mental health. Welcome back. Brand new documents give us a look inside the mind of murder suspect Richard Allen, the man accused of killing 2 teen girls in Delphi, Indiana. State police arrested Allen last October for the deaths of 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German. The 2 girls didn't show up to a planned meeting after they went for a walk on the Delphi Historic Trails in February of 2017, and the next day their bodies were found in the woods near that trail. On Wednesday, the judge released more than 100 court documents. One of those documents says that Allen admitted to his wife that he killed both of those girls. This alleged confession happened on a recorded phone call from the correctional facility that Allen was housed in. He apparently made the admission at least 5 times on the call. His wife quickly hung up. The defense says that after that phone call, Allen's mental health declined sharply. They say that he started wetting down the documents given to him by his legal team and eating them. His lawyers say that any confessions he made were because of his poor mental health. In other court documents, we learned the girls were killed by a sharp object, and prosecutors believe that a knife was used, but it was a bullet that connected Allen to the crime scene. An unspent .40 caliber round was found less than 2 feet from German's body between the 2 girls. That bullet was connected back to Allen, who had admitted to being at the trail the day of the murders. Let's break this down. Melba, can prosecutors use a private call between the defendant and his wife against him?
In this situation, yes, because this was a recorded jail call. So if you call somebody who's in custody, usually a little message starts off saying, this is a recorded line. This is your warning that don't say anything that you don't want to later on hear in the courtroom, once trial begins. I'm sure that warning was given. The defendant went ahead and made the statements that he did. So as such, that can be used in trial. When I was a prosecutor, I used to love jail calls because, again, people always ignored that admonishment in the beginning that this is a recorded call. So in this situation, he may be out of gas unless there's some sort of mental health argument, which, again, I don't think may be successful in this portion. The question is he competent to stand trial?
Yeah, because prosecutors say he might have been faking it, his behavior after that call, realizing, oops, I probably shouldn't have done that. But it does raise an interesting question, Brian, of competency, because this kind of behavior is pretty erratic. So what should we be thinking about how a court would measure Allen's competency to stand trial?
Well, of course, a judge will get him evaluated, to have a professional actually speak to Allen and see what's going on inside of his head. The issue that I think is going to be really at the forefront here is the timeline. It doesn't seem like his mental health was declining and then he made the statement. It makes it seem like he made the statement multiple times, I think about 5 times as you said, and then his wife hangs up, he never calls his wife again and speaks with her in this kind of way, and then he's eating papers. I mean, I jokingly said it to you before, Jesse, if you're gonna try to go for the insanity defense, there's a lot of things you could be eating in a jail that makes you seem a lot crazier than your own paper. But he didn't go that route. I don't think this is really gonna work out for him just because of the timeline of how things laid out, but hey, get the evaluation and make the argument.
And by the way, he could be acting erratic in jail. It all matters what was his mental state on the day of the killings if we're going to be talking about insanity. Melba, Brian, thank you so much. Everyone out there, thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We will see you next time as we discuss justice in America.